Hey everyone, Tom here at Cerulean Bay. This is Tropical Escapes at Home, and I'm late making this video. I know last week when I released my podcast episode about how to infuse the tropics into the holidays, because there's always a way to infuse the tropics into everything in life. That's what I believe makes life interesting. It makes life fun. And this goes for Halloween and Christmas as well. Those are the two holidays that I touched on last week and said that I would create a video that just kind of gave some examples about what you can do starting out with Halloween and using things like pineapples instead of pumpkins, watermelons instead of pumpkins, and just some cool little twists that you can put on Halloween to give it a real tropical spin that makes it just a lot of fun. And then doing the same thing for Christmas. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, I think you can have great fun with the tropics. And I've seen out there online and in some stores some really, really cool decorations to create a tropical themed Christmas tree. But I'm going to go ahead and show you some examples here, just some images in a quick video to give you guys some inspiration. In this example, we've got a very cool looking pineapple sitting on the beach here. And when I looked up how people prep these pineapples, some people will go ahead and cut the bottom off. And so the bottom is opened and it's like sitting on a plate or something like that, which is where you can put a candle or a non-flame, a non-flammatory kind of light. But some people will clean them out from the bottom, or they'll go ahead and cut the top off very evenly and then put it back on like a little hat. But you'll see if you get a pineapple that has a good shape, you can put a pretty classic pumpkin face on here. You have a smaller surface area to work with as opposed to like what you would have with a big pumpkin. But you can really get creative. And if you have a really good crown, which is what the leaves are, and it's straight and it's got that really cool spiky look, or sometimes you can get one where there's kind of a curve to it and it'll give your face some real personality. I think using pineapples like this is a real creative way, especially if you're going to have a party, do some entertaining. Then you've got that pineapple fruit from the inside, which you can repurpose. Then in this next example, we've got two very cool looking pineapples as well with some very simple facial carvings on here. But again, with the shape of the fruit, it really works. And with the spiky tops, just really very cool. And then with the watermelon, you can see depending on the size of it, you can get very creative too, just like with a pumpkin. And what's really cool is with the red interior, when you've got it lit up with a candle or again, some other form of lighting inside, you're just going to have that really cool reddish background, which really gives a neat look, I think. So watermelon is another option to consider. And again, don't waste the fruit. You've got that. You can use it in some form of a salad or some kind of a fruit tray. Another great idea for entertaining is think of watermelons. Here's another quick example for you, which just shows you how you can use other fruit too. If you should feel so inclined and you have that artistic thing going on, you can see here an apple and an orange placed next to the pineapple. And I think working with smaller fruit is probably harder. I don't know. I'm not an artist, but I thought this was a cool little example to share as well, because just depending on what kind of displays you're creating, especially again, if you're going to have a Halloween party, you're doing some entertaining or something, fixing some really cool appetizer platters. You can do an apple like this, do an orange like this, several of them, kind of intersperse them among everything and just make it really fun. But yeah, this is another cool example. Again, just getting away from the traditional pumpkins. I've got one last example of pineapples for you. I thought this one was fun because I love tiki torches. I mean, who doesn't love tiki torches? And instead of having an actual torch, you could go ahead and mount pineapples as shown on tiki stands maybe, or some other kind of rod where you've got them up and kind of angled like this. You get a few pineapples going around a cool outdoor kitchen or outdoor entertaining area. And I think that would be great, especially as it's starting to get dark outside. Have a nice tropical outdoor Halloween party. So just another fun example for you. Then if you're really into some tropical flavors here and you love coconut, I thought this was a pretty creative thing to do too, and it's very simple. Just get some well-rounded or well-shaped coconuts, and then just go ahead and get that marker out and draw a traditional pumpkin carving face on the coconut. Go ahead and drill those in there, put some straws, and people can be sipping on coconuts at a very cool tropical style party. So yeah, coconuts too, I think are a good thing to include. And for those of you who are doing any kind of tabletop setting, centerpiece displays, or something like that, you can go ahead and carve a pumpkin as shown here to make a really cool pumpkin palm tree. And I think it's cool how they have the pumpkin base and then the little miniature outdoor chairs there, just with some sand and some shells and little mini starfish and things. I thought that this was very creative too. So, another cool idea when you're thinking outside the box, just think of how you can repurpose traditional things that are used at Halloween and make them look completely different with a tropical spin on it. Just really a lot of fun. Then I wasn't really going to get into food here, but when I came across this picture of these gingerbread men, which are actually little gingerbread voodoo dolls, I thought this was just too cool to not share. But you just make some simple little gingerbread men and then get the little icing decoration thing out and go to town with the little sewn on stitches there and just the little cross marks. And these were just really, really fun too. I thought how creative. I hadn't seen something like this before. So, yes, gingerbread voodoo dolls, another cool addition to a great Halloween party. And then, of course, you got to have your skeletons. And when I came across a few of these, I thought, oh, why not? I'm just going to go ahead and throw these in. And I think mermaid skeletons have actually become a thing in the last couple years because I've been seeing more and more of them online. But what was really cool about this, not only how you can put the wig on and the crazy eyes, but now you can also get the skeleton anglerfish and the skeleton octopus. And I think it's just the world of decoration is getting really, really creative now. But this was a fun example to use too, especially again, tropical themed, something at the ocean. You get the mermaids going. So, yeah, very cool idea here. And then this idea is another happy skeleton here underwater. I love how these people created the jellyfish that are hanging from the ceiling, and they've got some great like nautical netting going on again with another octopus, and then they've got the treasure chest. So this was a fun setting too, especially again if you've got kids, you're going to do some entertaining, do something under the sea as I mentioned last week in my podcast. Think of Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. That has a lot of great imagery too, and now there's just things that you can find either on Amazon, sometimes over at grandinroad.com. It's not the cheapest site, but they've got some really cool Halloween decorations as well. Again, that's called Grandin Road. So nice website. They've got some great things for the house. And I think then this is my last Halloween picture here. I just couldn't resist. A very cool little skeleton couple here dressed up like they're for a luau or some kind of great tropical themed party there. But again, get yourself a great tropical skeleton, dress it up, make it look like they're on vacation in Key West or somewhere. I mean, how fun is that? It's just all about having fun. So I think from there, that's where we are going to transition into Christmas. So for our first example for Christmas here, we have a very cool little pineapple Christmas tree. This would be such a great idea for a tabletop display or just something that you could put on a countertop. And I love it with the little sunglasses on there. But how simple is this? How cool is this? And again, you use that spiky hair just to hang some Christmas bulbs, put a little starfish on there instead of the traditional angel or tree topper. And I mean, you've just got something that's festive and fun, and it just speaks the tropics. I thought this was brilliant when I saw it. Very, very cool example. From there, I wanted to also show you what you can do in the pineapple motif as well, is with a traditional Christmas tree. You can go ahead and get some nautical netting like this and wrap the tree in it to give it that exterior look that pineapples have. And it's got the lights on there, which is really, really cool. And then for the top, if you have a kind of stiff palm leaf, like from a sago palm or another type of palm that where it'll stick straight up and it just won't flop down or anything, you can really create the spiky hair on top of the Christmas tree. But I thought this was a very fun, a very easy thing to do if you can find that kind of netting. But how great is that? Then you could even decorate it a little bit if you want, and you just have a big 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot tropical pineapple in the corner of your room that just speaks Christmas, and it looks like so much fun. But yes, a very cool example. And then what I also wanted to show you guys too is the Driftwood Christmas tree that I mentioned earlier. My wife and I first encountered this tree at the Matangi Private Island Resort in Fiji, and it really caught my eye, even though it's kind of on the narrow side and it's tall, you put the longer pieces of driftwood at the bottom and you just crisscross them as you go higher up with the shorter ones and then string some lights, put some basic little decorations on there. Very beachy, very cool. And I thought it was a great idea of how you can go ahead and just use a lot of natural texture, really apply it to the holidays, and just make a great tropical conversation piece. And you'll get people talking, and people will go, "Where did you come up with that idea?" And you can tell them, "Hey, I found this at Cerulean Bay, and the host, he had gone down to Fiji. This is something that we could easily build here." Again, if you have access to driftwood, and I did come across an article where it actually said that collecting driftwood from any old beach is sometimes not allowed. So if you do live near a beach or you're going to be traveling where there is driftwood on the beach, just make sure, check with the local authorities there or whoever you need to make sure that you are allowed to collect it. Because again, I did not know that, but in some areas you are not allowed to collect the driftwood. We don't want anyone getting in trouble, and Christmas is supposed to be a fun time. So no illegal things at Christmas time. Make sure your driftwood is legal. And this little mini driftwood tree I thought was very cool too. Again, tabletop version here, much smaller, but how cool is this? I think it gets the idea across. You just string it up with some ornaments there, and you've got Christmas in the tropics. Very, very cool thing to do. And then I had this really interesting example too. I found this picture a few years back, and they call it the invisible Christmas tree. I think it's absolutely amazing. If you really look at it, it does look like something that would have been very complicated to do, given how all of the ornaments are attached with fishing line from something that is attached to the ceiling there. Maybe it's a piece of wood that's covered in some fake snow or something like that. But if you really planned this out and you did something starting from the center and then progressively moved out with longer and longer pieces of fishing line to hang those ornaments as you go further down the tree, I think this would be such a cool thing to do in a house. I would definitely keep the children away from it, any pets, because this could easily be a tangled mess if somebody or something got into it. But I just thought it was really inspirational, and maybe someone out there watching or listening, if you know how to do this, or there is another version of it, maybe that you would know how to do, maybe just some advice for some of our listeners. And not just with this picture, but with anything else that I've shown in today's episode, go ahead and make a comment, let other people see it. Send me an email. You can contact me at podcast@ceruleanbay.com. And if you have a really cool idea, wouldn't you want someone else to be able to enjoy that too? And then maybe they could put their own spin on it, or I don't know. I'm all about sharing tips and ideas. Share what you know and bring some joy to other people. Help them create something really cool. But yeah, I thought this was really fun. Very, very unique. Another cool image here, something that I have seen in a number of places, sometimes in hotel lobbies, at resorts, actually one time at somebody's house when we were invited to a Christmas party. It was along the lines of this tree here. You just get your traditional Christmas tree, but then you outfit it with flowers. And I think over time, if you can really collect some really good fake ones, that way you can just reuse them every year. I think this would be very expensive to do with real flowers. And then how are you going to keep them fresh? I don't see an easy way here to make sure that they have access to water. So I would invest over time, just some really good artificial ones here. But what a beautiful tropical Christmas tree. Get some tropical colored bulbs, just some clear lighting in there so that you can let all the colors from the flowers do the talking. But I thought this was brilliant. What a beautiful tree. So get creative when it comes to Christmas. If that's your thing and you love the tropics, I absolutely love Christmas. I think it's a great time to decorate, but I do like to think outside the box because I think every year does get kind of boring if you just use the same decorations over and over again. And yeah, I have the ones that I got from my mom, and she had the ones that she got from her mom. But I think you're allowed to mix it up. Start bringing in the tropics a little bit and just make it fun. And then, of course, you can go outside. And if you are so lucky to have big, beautiful trees, especially palm trees, or just really nice bushes, well shaped shrubs, things like this that you can just throw some lights on, or in this case, do some heavy duty wrapping. This does look like it was a professional job. It's actually from a hotel in Naples, Florida, I believe. But how cool is this? I just love when trees are lit up outside. And in San Diego, I would see some people do it here and there. Growing up, you didn't really see too much of it. I'm not sure what people out there are doing today. But here in Houston, it was the first time where I really saw people doing oaks. We have a lot of the big grand oak trees here, and people will get up and wrap the branches and do that kind of thing. And it's just beautiful. So I love it when we get into the tropical stuff and people start doing palm trees, especially if you have the multi-trunked trees. You've got several trunks coming out of the same base and you can wrap those. Just a word of caution with palm trees. A lot of them are very prickly. Those leaves that are at the base of each palm leaf or the palm fronds, they can be very sharp. They can be very needle-like. So be careful. If you've got Mediterranean fan palms like we do, the branches are just full of these jagged little teeth things, and I guarantee you they will tear you up. Every time I go out there, no matter how careful I am, I get snagged, I get hooked by one of those things, and it hurts. I mean, you start to bleed. So yes, put those lights on your palm trees, but no injuries allowed. Definitely not fun. So yeah, there's just lots of great ideas out there. And one last image I'm going to share with you here. I don't know how feasible or practical this is. I've heard some differing opinions on it, but regardless of the time of year, if you are craving the beach and you haven't had a vacation in a while, bring the beach to your office. I thought this was so cool when I saw this picture. I'm sure it's a very messy thing to do, but for those who are truly determined, build yourself a nice sandbox, get some sand, fill it up, park that desk chair in there with your desk, and just pretend you are having an office day at the beach. I thought this was really cool. So I'm not going to be judgy about it. I think this is a great idea. So what if it makes a little mess? You got to have some fun in life. And this looks like fun. So I think that was fun. Those were some cool images. I love getting online and just finding some really cool ideas about how to mix things up, especially when it comes to the holidays and just bringing the tropics into every part of life where possible, because you know me, I just love the tropics and I just think they're fun. So hopefully you have found this to be a little bit inspirational, a little valuable, a little bit fun too, especially as we are getting into the end of September here. The holidays are right around the corner. I didn't do Thanksgiving because that just kind of seemed to be a little bit harder to do. It's such a traditional holiday, and I know how we celebrate it in my family here. So if I come up with anything creative, I will go ahead and share that with you guys early enough in advance. If there's anything that maybe you can consider to make it fun for Thanksgiving, but Halloween and Christmas were easy targets for me. So bring those tropics into at least those two. So I do want to thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please click that like button. I would love to earn a click on that subscribe button too. And I'm going to have links in the show notes to Tropical Design at Home, our online interior design program. There's the Cabana Lounge newsletter, which has gone to a monthly schedule because it was just a little too much to try and do everything weekly on top of everything else that I do. But I will have a link to that as well, where you can just get really cool tips to products and recipes and just inspirations and the latest blog posts and things. And then, of course, there is the podcast Tropical Escapes at Home too, and that is published Tuesday mornings. So go ahead and check out those episodes. But I really thank you guys for tuning in. You are awesome. As always, I wish you a ton of health, happiness, and tropical inspiration. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.